So, it's been 6 months going through one of the most transformational phases of my life at a time where I thought things would look a lot different. About a year ago, we moved to Las Vegas, and we were so excited to move here, Kayla and I, because we've been living in St. George, Utah for a while. St. George is beautiful, it's gorgeous, it's a crazy environment full of spiritual energy and dope people, but it's just not, it doesn't have that city feeling. You know, like I came from Houston, she came from Miami, and we're used to the city life. It keeps us hungry, you know, like seeing big buildings, seeing the skyline, having all of these different gyms and businesses and just a plethora of different cultures like intertwining with each other is something that we were hungry for. So we decided to make the move to Las Vegas, and we're so excited about doing it. We got here and we kicked things off to a super hot start. We're actually at the Extreme Couture Gym, one of the most world-renowned mixed martial arts gyms in the world, owned by Randy Couture. And we were there visiting a fellow Hayabusa sponsored athlete on the same team as Kayla, Eric Nixick, two-time MMA Coach of the Year, coaches Francis Ngannou, and just a crazy roster of athletes. So it was a surreal experience for us. It was super cool. Made some really fucking cool content for both Inspired and Hayabusa. At the end, after he took Kayla through, Kayla and I were just playing around with each other, and she leg sweeped me as I was like walking backwards, and I fell on my hip and landed just perfectly on the side. And before this, for like the last month or two, I mean, my back had been starting to flare up again. I had a history of spine issues and back issues dating all the way back to high school, playing high school football, doing mixed martial arts in high school, and then directly out of that going into the Marine Corps and just subjecting my body to all types of trauma, right? So by the time I was 22, I had my first back surgery. I had a microdiscectomy. And when I was there, the doctor straight up told me, like, you got two options. You know, either A, you get this microdiscectomy now and you can continue with your Marine Corps career because it's a short recovery, or B, if you do this spinal fusion, you're likely going to get medically discharged, which I did not want to happen at all. And it was going to be a longer recovery. They told me that no matter what, regardless of the option I chose, I was going to have this spinal fusion surgery before I was 30. And of course, back then I was like, no, there's no way. Give me this other surgery, I'll figure it out, I'll be fine. And literally 29 years old, I have the fall at Extreme Couture Gym with Kayla and completely fracture the pars, which are the bones behind the vertebrae that hold the bones together. Once that gets fractured, it's called a pars defect, and there's nothing holding that vertebrae in place. So what's happening to me, the fracture occurred right at L5-S1. So that being said, right where my sacrum is, where my hips are, my spine was sliding out on top of it. It was causing a crazy amount of pressure to be applied to my nerves. I had numerous impingements. I had crazy sciatica. I was in constant chronic pain. And whenever it first happened, a lot of that pain was localized to my left hamstring. So I thought I had a hamstring injury initially. Like whenever you have nerve-related pain, it's super hard to pinpoint where it comes from. And being localized in my hamstring, I just got some crutches. I thought I pulled it, thought I had a tear, and I kind of babied it for a couple days. It wasn't even a week before the pain subsided a little bit from my hamstring, and it was like moving to other random parts of my leg. So I decided to stop walking on the crutches, took one step, and realized that I couldn't activate my left calf at all. I had no strength in my left calf. I had no connection really to any part of the left side of my left calf. The muscle just completely wouldn't work. It was terrifying to me. And obviously immediately I realized, okay, there's something a little bit worse happening here. Made an appointment quickly and went in to see Dr. Kevin Sharif, an orthopedic surgeon here in Las Vegas, super highly recommended. Just an amazing human being. The guy was able to break things down for me in a digestible manner, tell me everything that was wrong with me and the reality of how my life is going to change. Before that, we had sent my MRIs already to a very reputable neurological surgeon down in South Florida, Kayla's prior doctor, and he looked at my MRIs, second opinion I got, by the way, and was like, not only do you need surgery immediately, you literally have a fracture in your spine. And it was the first time I had ever heard that. So going in to see Dr. Sharif, I had a little bit of a preface to what I was going to be hearing. Still didn't really make it any easier. Of course, like in the back of your mind, you want to keep some form of optimism and think like, no, there's other ways to do this. I'm not going to have surgery. And if I do have surgery, I'm not going to have screws and rods put in my back. Like I didn't want to be seen like that. I didn't want to know that I had this vulnerability within my body everywhere that I go. I didn't want to feel like I'd never be as strong as I was before. Like, especially in the fitness industry, like in doing what we do every single day, you have this constant mentality and mindset of getting stronger, of getting better. And I felt like a lot of my life was like basically over at that point. It was just a super crushing thing to experience. So they told me that, you know, I need to have surgery as quickly as possible if I ever want the chance of a recovery with the nerve connection between my brain and my calf. And I, at the time, was traveling around a ton, or at least as much as I could. And traveling was so hard to begin with because I couldn't stand for longer than 5 minutes at a time. If I stood for longer than 5 minutes, it felt like my entire left leg was like in a shark's mouth inside of an oven in hell, like on the devil's worst day. Like it was fucking unbearable. And I suffered through like quite a few things, like with that pain, just to have those experiences and to not have to feel like it was controlling my life, but in all reality it was. Every time we would go to the airport, Kayla would have to put me in a wheelchair, push me all the way through the airport. It was a demeaning feeling because I was used to being the one carrying her bags and making sure she had nothing in her hands and making sure she, you know, had a man taking care of her. And at this point, I'm not even 30 years old and I've got this woman pretty much taking care of me. I'll always be appreciative for that and have like the utmost gratitude to that girl because I know I was not easy to deal with through any of that. But at the same time, I did try my hardest to be there and not miss anything. Luckily, didn't have to miss any shows, didn't have to miss anything big like that. Was able to suffer through it and get through those moments. And speaking of those moments, one of them being in Orlando, probably a month after I got the news that I needed to have surgery as soon as possible. The soonest that they thought they could schedule me was December. It was October. It was exactly a month after I had proposed to Kayla on her birthday at a live wrestling show. It was actually epic. I had so much adrenaline that for that day, for like 15 minutes, it's almost like my back wasn't injured. But immediately after that, we were on a trip to Orlando. She was filming an episode for AEW Dark.
In Massachusetts, Kayla Rossi.
Let's go, Kayla! Took the day off in a decade. I'll be on like a prepaid. Let's go, Jack! See me just say when.
And I got the call saying like, hey, today's Saturday. If you can get back by Tuesday, we had a cancellation. We can get you in for your surgery. I said yes immediately and wanted to call back and cancel every second after that. Every moment leading up to the surgery, I was researching every possible form of medical technology that could even be invented in the near future to solve this without screws and rods being put inside my body. I just had the worst mentality and perspective when it came to that, and I wanted to avoid it at all costs, but Kayla's actually the one that pushed me to do it. She knew that my quality of life was completely terrible. I wasn't working out. I wasn't being social. I wasn't really leaving the house. Like standing in the shower was brutal, right? So like normal daily tasks were just falling by the wayside. So I was losing a sense of who I was in a major way. And I think she noticed that and also had a little bit more faith in what could come next. So she pushed me to do it. I went through with it. I remember on the day of the surgery, like going in, I'm like apologizing for everything I've ever done, like in my life, right? Because it's just like, not only am I going in for a massive surgery, they did a anterior, posterior, lumbar interbody fusion on me. What that means is they cut me open from the front, probably about a 3-inch incision right around my lower left side of my abdomen. They had to have 2 surgeons do this, a procedural like blood vessel surgeon, as well as The actual neurologist. So first surgeon went in, moved everything out of the way, cut what needed to be cut, got the muscle out of the way so they could get all the way down to my spine from the front. They went in, they dug out both discs. It was a dual fusion. They dug out the disc between L4, L5 and the disc between L5, S1. After digging those discs out, they hammered metal spacers in place and used screws to connect these spacers into my actual vertebrae. I have 8 screws in the front and 2 spacers in the front. That was day 1. That surgery lasted, I believe, between 5 and 6 hours, and I had a major bleeding issue towards the end of the surgery. I lost so much blood that coming out of it, I was borderline anemic. They were giving me some blood transfusions during it. The second surgery, still completely mutilated and annihilated from the first surgery. They flipped me over onto my stomach. They cut me open in 2 places on my back. They went in, put in 6 more screws and 2 rods, as well as 2 more spacers. So all in all, I have a good amount of steel inside me, surgical steel or whatever type of fucking metal they use these days. God, I remember laying in the hospital after the surgery just with so many questions. Why did I do this? What the fuck am I thinking? What is going on? They got me up and I walked around the day I had my second surgery, actually. Fucking insanely weird feeling. Nothing felt the way it should. Everything, it felt just completely crazy. Still had no feeling in my left calf. And to this day, I still have no strength in my left calf, realistically. I mean, I've probably recovered maybe 20% of my strength in my left calf, but I still can't walk on a tiptoe or do a calf raise on my left leg or anything like that. So that's kind of brutal. The recovery was pretty gnarly for a long time. I was cut open on both sides and had screws in my back, so I couldn't bend certain ways, I couldn't twist certain ways, I couldn't lift anything, pick anything up. So even after surgery, there was a long period of time where Kayla was still having to very much so take care of me.
But yeah, so we got this dope ass recliner for him, but he just likes to sit like this.
It's great.
I lost so much strength. I lost so much muscle mass. I lost some relationships throughout that process. And not only was I going through this life-altering change with my body, Chris and I, my business partner, sold our company. We sold our company in November and I had the surgery in October. So leading up to that, all around the surgery, we were going through the diligence process. We were going through discovery. We were having negotiations about selling our business, our baby, our entire life for the last couple years. So it was so many drastic changes all happening at one time in my life. And I kind of just put my head down and focused on Inspired and focused on work and tried not to let my mind go to everything that I wanted to do. I wanted to be in the studio. I wanted to be recording music. I wanted to be in the gym. I wanted to be active. I wanted to be going on hikes. We got a little puppy. I wanted to be playing with her. There was so many things that I wanted to do that I couldn't do. I hadn't had that type of freedom restriction in so long that, God, it definitely took a toll on me. So now as we near this 6-month mark, things are drastically different for me. I still have pain. There's still a tiny little bit of nerve pain. There's still a lot of tightness in my back, and I am still insanely weak. I've been doing physical therapy for a couple months now, but it's gonna take a while for me to really rebuild back to where I was when I was in the gym every single day and, fresh from the Marine Corps and all of that. I definitely aspire to get back to the level of fitness I was once at, and I think that I will, and I think I will actually crush my past self at some point. It's just the mental aspect of getting back there. When you feel like you're not elite. I mean, I've never been a bodybuilder. I've always been fit. I've always been in shape. I've always been able to take care of myself and to stand out. I've never been elite like Kayla Rossi or anything like that, but I've always been able to perform, and then having to go all the way back to training wheels and 5-pound dumbbells and 10-pound dumbbells and not being able to do sit-ups properly and having to relearn how to activate my abs, having to relearn how to activate certain muscles in my glutes that were completely asleep, complete glute amnesia, piriformis syndrome, so many fucking things all at once. Because those nerve endings, they they reach out and they touch so many different parts of your body. They get affected by it whenever you have that sort of trauma. And that's been tough too, right? Because not only do I date someone who's a public figure, who's in the public eye, but she has the most elite physique you've ever seen in your life, and she performs in the gym at a level that you don't see every day, you know? So when I'm in there with her and we're training together like we normally do, because it's something that we both like to do, it's such a weird feeling to go from her doing whatever she's doing at such an elite level, and then I'm over here looking like I should be able to keep up, right? And I literally can't. I'm having to rework my way up from the very beginning. We went to Hawaii like a month ago, and I keep saying I was in the Marine Corps, but I could swim. I was a great swimmer. I loved to be in the water, loved to be in the pool, and I for a moment, of course, wasn't thinking about my reconstructive spinal surgery, jumped in the water to go snorkeling and was like, oh my God. So many aspects of muscle memory were just washed away. And that's the thing that I didn't expect. I knew that I'd be weaker, and I knew that I would probably have some form of learning curve of coordination, but holy shit, that was a literal sink or swim moment. But luckily I didn't sink, thank God for life jackets and things like that. But dude, I was about to be blowing the rape whistle, I'm telling you right now. I was about to be screaming. Survived it, saw some pretty cool sea turtles and shit. That's totally besides the point though. At the end of the day, I know the way I felt going into this, and I know that I put zero stock at all in the chance that my life would be even this decent at this point, right? I'm way weaker than I was. I feel like I'm a fraction of my past self, even though I know that a lot of people don't see that, and I know it's mental. I still have to feel that. I still have to go through it, but at the end of the day, I'm not in constant pain. I am not in fucking chronic pain. I'm able to go and walk my dog and play with my dog. I'm able to go on hikes. I'm back in the gym now. I'm not doing back squats or anything like that yet, but I'm doing a 5-day training split, and things are starting to kind of feel halfway normal again. So to experience that and go through it and somewhat feel like I'm coming out the other end, it's a crazy feeling. Inspired as a brand is doing better than it's ever done, ever. And I think maybe a lot of that can be equated to the fact that I had all of these other outside factors removed from my life and I was forced to focus on one thing. But at the same time, I think that it brought me back to why I first started working out to begin with, why I first started training, why I ever had an urge to get better, right? It took me back to that exact same feeling, because I really do feel like that guy who's never been to the gym. And being in this industry, being able to create some of the coolest supplements in the world, and without our story in the form of products that we really feel like are going to enhance someone's life, it's like the best gift ever. So I just really wanted to be able to tell my story, put this out there. As long as you stay the course, keep your head down, work nonstop towards whatever that goal is, whether it's not having pain or just having a little bit better quality of life, buying your dream car, whatever the fuck it is. Keep your head down, stay on the most direct path possible. Remember, there's no way to go under it or over it. You just gotta go through that shit directly as fast as you can. No shortcuts work, but if you know exactly the amount of work you have to put in and you know exactly where you have to be and you follow that every single day, it's literally mathematically impossible for you to lose. Where you lose is not keeping that determination and not doing those things that you knew that you needed to do on day one. So I just, more than anything, want to continue that fucking straight trajectory to where I know and think I can be, and along the way I want to put these words out into the universe and make it real, make it reality that I've said this, because then I know I'm going to have to do it. And I'm going to have to live that. I'm going to have to actually complete all of these fucking missions that I start. So with that being said, we're 6 months in, or almost 6 months. At the 6-month point, if my spine is fused, I will be fully cleared. And the second those bones are actually fused into one stable structure and I'm cleared, I'm fucking coming for this shit. I'm telling you guys right now. So if you've been wondering about music, if you've been asking me about music or anything else that it is that I work on, ATO, all of that is coming. Life is a game of priorities, and for a short period of time, all of the fun stuff that I want to do had to take a back seat to the steps that were necessary for me to actually have a quality of life in the future. And the last 6 months has taught me a ton of patience. It's taught me a lot about my own doubt and the way that I handle adversity. It's restored a lot of faith in myself. I had a really rough 2020. 2021 wasn't the best. 2022, things seem to be getting a lot better until that surgery. So coming through all of that, being at the other end now, being in this position, I never thought that was gonna happen. And I don't think that there's ever gonna be anything else in my life that gets thrown at me that I don't have 100% optimism and belief that I'm going to beat it. And I just want that shit to be contagious for you guys. So until next time, that's what's been going on in my life. And I'm probably gonna add some kind of cool fucking video outro here, like right there.